Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Witch BZ Sims. Today I have an apartment renovation for you guys. Today I'm renovating one of the 4 apartments that are in Evergreen Harbor. I tend to forget that these apartments are here. I rarely ever live in Evergreen Harbor, but I have been playing in Evergreen Harbor as of lately, and so I decided to come to these apartments and renovate them. I actually thought that they would be a lot easier because I thought, like, I don't know, I used to think that these apartments were much bigger than what they actually are. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have so much space to put a whole bunch of rooms. I initially thought that I would be able to get like 3 bedrooms in this apartment, but once I actually started the renovation, I realized that this apartment is kind of small. And another reason why I chose this apartment is because it has a balcony, but once I started renovating this build, I realized that I can't actually do anything with the balcony because it has one of those weird apartment like requirements that you can't mess with the outside doors or the windows unless you use a mod. I think you can do things with the balcony, but I didn't want to use a mod in order to manipulate the balcony because I don't know, I just have this fear that like if I mess with the apartment too much then they won't be functional, and so I just decided to just stick with the inside of the apartment. I think you can go out into the balcony, but I think the reason why you're not able to use the balcony in this apartment in Evergreen Harbor because I think it's like part of that world where things start to change the more you play in Evergreen Harbor. Like the outside of the apartment will change. Like I think it's based on like neighborhood action plans or like the environment, like whether it's more industrial or whether it's more green. Like I said, I don't really play in Evergreen Harbor too much. I don't have anything against Evergreen Harbor. I just tend to not play in there. But I've never seen the changes of this building, and I've also never seen any changes when it comes to the community lots. I've never seen them change. I don't know if it's just my game or maybe it's just that I don't play in Evergreen Harbor long enough to like see those changes, or I don't know what's going on. On the rare occasion that I do play in Evergreen Harbor, it's usually when I'm just starting off with a single sim. I actually like starting my single sims in Evergreen Harbor for some reason, especially if they're like a more modern sim. But this apartment, it's not just for a single sim, it's actually for a growing family. I'm probably going to mention this in all of my builds, but usually when I am building something, I have to think about the type of sims that are going to be living in this space, or the type, like what are my sims going to be doing in this space if it's a community lot. For this house, in my mind, I kind of pictured it as this couple that had a lot of ambition. They're like hardworking, very career focused, and then they ended up with 2 children like out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, like they know where the children came from, but they didn't really have a plan to start a family. It just sort of happened. And I feel like it's kind of like relatable because I feel like this tends to happen a lot in real life where you kind of just have to make do with the space that you have, and you can't just pick up and move all of a sudden. And I feel like a lot of families in real life are kind of like going through that where they're like kind of crammed into a space that isn't suitable for their family size per se, but it's like kind of like what they can afford. I feel like especially in this economy, like people who are starting families, it's not really accessible for them to buy housing, and so like they are like, if you've ever had children, like children kind of like they get stuff out of nowhere. Like you have people buying them stuff, and then if you're a parent and you have poor impulse control, then you're always buying your kids stuff, and it's just so easy for just a bunch of kid stuff to take over and kind of like overpower the house. And I kind of wanted to include the feeling of, okay, like this was the parent space before, but now it's like the children's stuff is kind of like taking over. In the little entryway, I kind of included boxes out in this little closet thing, and in my mind, I feel like this family has to have a lot of stuff packed up and packed away because they may be preparing to move soon, but they are still using the space. Maybe they're like saving up money or something until they can afford either a bigger apartment or a house or something like that. I don't really know why, but this space felt really weird to me. Usually, like the biggest challenge when it comes to apartment renovations is trying to divide the space. I feel like with the like how the game comes, it's kind of like I feel like that's kind of how they thought was the best way to split up the space in the rooms. And it's kind of like a tricky like situation in trying to make the floor plan a little bit different, because sometimes if it does feel a little bit easier to just go with the floor plan that came with the game. I feel at the end of the day I did make an apartment that I really enjoyed and I could see my sons living here. I was a little bit worried because everything is so crammed in, and I was trying to include as much clutter as possible, that everything was pretty much functional. And I think pretty much everything was. I did play test this apartment, and the only thing that I noticed was that the washing machine, the way that it is, it's not functional that way. In order to make it functional, I had to delete the wall and window that's right next to the door and place the washing machine and dryer side by side. I did upload this build onto the gallery, and it's not like that. The washing machine is kind of, it's how you see it in this video. So if you want the washing machine to be functional, then you'll have to delete that wall that's next to the door and place the washing machine and dryer side by side. Or I don't know, for me personally, I don't really care if it's functional or not. I like the way that it looks right there. And so I guess you could just consider the washing machine and dryer as like decoration, and more and not so much as like actually needing it. But I feel like with this type of family, because they have a toddler and a infant, that you're gonna want a wash machine like in your apartment, because you're gonna have so many clothes. Like babies and toddlers, they just go through so many clothes. So I feel like in real life you would want a functional washer and dryer. I feel like there isn't a whole lot of space in this apartment, especially for like two like children that are growing up. I feel like for right now it's okay for them because they just have an infant and a toddler. I was able to get like the infant play mat so that the infant can play on that, and I was able to get like blocks and the little baby tablet for the toddler to play with. But I feel like in real life, I feel like this type of apartment, it's like not really suitable for a big family like this. It's a family of four to like live in, and I feel like that kind of gives it that realism too, because in my mind I feel like this was an apartment that it was just like two adults living in this space. And I feel like in my mind that because they were like working all the time, that it didn't really matter what size their apartment was. So like the small size of it really didn't matter to them. And it's kind of like, because their family is growing, they're now realizing how small and how crammed their apartment is. And I kind of wanted to make the apartment kind of feel like it's about to explode from the inside out. And also in my mind, I feel like this is the type of family that like family is really important to them. So even though like both parents might work like Monday through Friday, you like they're not like, I feel like some people like they have it in their idea that like on the weekends they're gonna like get the house together, they're gonna clean up. But I feel like this family is different, where like when they get off from work and when they're home on the weekends, like the most important thing for them is spending time with their children. So I feel like I wanted to include a lot of clutter in the space, especially like children clutter, because I don't know, I feel like if you have a child, like I feel like it's really unrealistic to just have like a super neat and aesthetic home. And I wanted to make the space feel like that, where like they are very involved in their children's lives and they want their children to play and take up space in their home, and they're not really worried or concerned about doing chores and making sure the house is clean. Like of course they don't want their house to be filthy, but I feel like just like they want their house to look like it's lived in, basically. I'm really tempted to like go back and delete all the baby stuff and kind of like go back in time and kind of do another renovation of this apartment, but kind of make it look like how this apartment would look if like how it looked before they had their children. Because I kind of also, like I said, I wanted to make it look like the baby stuff is taking over. So I wanted to include like a lot of children clutter, like it looked like they're doing arts and crafts and just like a bunch of toys, and just like it looked like I wanted to make it look like the children were like pulling stuff out of everywhere. So I felt like storage was really important. So I kind of like in my mind, like the parents are like learning that they have to put things up. In the bedroom, I kind of included more like adult stuff. So we haven't gotten there, but for example, I put like the computer and like the headphone thing that came with the everyday clutter kit, I think. And so in my mind, I feel like the parents are kind of like pushing their stuff to like a safer space, and like the kitchen in in the living room was kind of like the baby space now. But I am kind of tempted to go back and redo this apartment and also upload it to the gallery. I don't think I would do a speed build of that renovation, but let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in getting this apartment but having it be just like suitable for like an adult, I guess. As for the actual build itself, I cannot tell you how many packs I use. Well, I could if I went in the gallery right now and checked, but I did try to like keep in mind about like the packs that I'm using, which I don't typically do because I don't really pay attention to like the packs that I'm using, because I kind of just see an item that I like. I don't really look at the icon to see what pack it came from. I just see an item I like and I want to use it. But I think I know for sure that I use a lot of Dream Home Decorator because like I said, I wanted to have like a lot of storage in this space. So I use like I liked how like the storage cabinets and shelves kind of like click together, the ones that came with the home decorator kit. And I used the paranormal couch because I really like that couch. I really feel like we need more couches like that where it just feels more homey, it feels comfortable. I feel like a lot of the couches that we have in game, they're more so like for aesthetics. They're more so like couches that you would get not because they're comfortable but because they look good. But I think, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I hope I'm explaining it right or that you can get it, but I want more couches that look like you would want to sit on it. Like, this is a couch that was made for sitting. This is a couch that was made for the whole family to just lounge around on. Like, this is a couch that you can take a really good nap on. And I feel like the couch that came with the paranormal, I think it was a stuffed kit or not stuff. I don't know. I'm getting these things confused. It was a stuff pack, and I really like that couch. And I think there's another couch I like that came with the high school years, but I don't know. I went with the paranormal couch because I really like how it has the pillows and like the little throw blankets, and I really wish we had more couches like that. I also used a lot from the Growing Together pack because it's obviously a very family focused pack. And I think I also used the toddlers. No, I don't think I used toddler stuff. I used Parenthood, and I might have used the kids pack as well. It was a stuff pack, and it was like kids stuff pack or something like that, and in the baby's room. But I can't think of anything else other than like I used like other packs for like smaller stuff. I know I had like the wardrobe that came from Get Together, and the kitchen was mostly Parenthood and Cool Kitchen stuff because I've never really used those counters, and I don't know, I think I wanted to do something different. And I feel like the counters that came with the Cool Kitchen stuff, they fit this apartment really well. I was going to go for like the counters that came with Dream Home Decorator, but I felt like it was too modern, I guess, for this apartment. Like, I felt like those counters would have fit better if it was like a just, the family where it's just like the single sim or the single adult sims or whatever. But I don't know, for some reason I wanted to use the counters that came with Cool Kitchen, and I didn't use the cabinets that came with that pack because I don't like how they look, because it's just like open and they kind of looked weird to me. And I did kind of like, I was worried that the refrigerator that I use from the Parenthood pack, that it wouldn't match the counters, but I think it ended up looking okay. Even though the swatches are a little different, I've kind of like the idea of switching swatches. Like, I'm not too concerned with having my swatches match up precisely, because I feel like that's kind of like real life anyway, where especially if you're not like buying all of your furniture at once, I feel like no one's really buying all their furniture at once. You're kind of like just buying things like whenever you get the chance to or whenever you get the money to. And usually when you're buying furniture, I don't know, I know me personally, I'm not like buying all of my furniture from one spot. Like, you might be thrifting some of it, you might find some on Facebook Marketplace, or you might get some furniture on Amazon, you might get some furniture from like Target or something like that, or IKEA. So it's gonna be really, really hard for you to necessarily match all of your all of your like actual furniture that you have in your house. You're kind of like eyeballing it basically and hoping that things come together. Because this apartment is included in the eco lifestyle pack, I did try to bring in some elements from the eco lifestyle pack. Even though I don't think I used that pack too much, I did kind of use the eco living or is it eco living or eco lifestyle? I don't know, but I did use like the little wood paneling as like accent walls and in some of the like it was mostly the main living room area. So I guess that was like my tie-in for the eco living pack, which is kind of interesting because I didn't use a whole lot of that pack in the entire build. I was a bit worried about the children's room being a little too small, but I feel like it's kind of, again, it's very realistic where you're kind of like cramming things in. I feel like I was actually surprised I was able to get a toddler bed to fit, and also the crib and a changing table and then a little dresser. I wasn't able to get a whole lot of toys. I feel like I kind of just stuck like the little teeny tiny toys all around the house and then they can just play with that. But I wasn't able to get like the bigger toys, like a one of the big stuffed animals or like the dollhouse or anything like that. And even though I feel like in my mind that this family is getting ready to move because they're running out of space, I honestly think that once the children get a little bit bigger, maybe if you got like the loft bids or bunk bid, I feel like that would like that would help them a lot with like staying in the space a little bit longer. But in my mind, I feel like this family is getting ready to leave because it's just too much. It's like getting really crammed in like this little teeny tiny space. In the story that I created in my head, I feel like the baby's room it used to be an office because in my mind I feel like one of the parents used to be a freelancer or they used to just work from home or something like that. And I feel like maybe that's another reason why they might be looking to move because now that they have to use the baby's room as a room for actual children, I feel like they've kind of had to move their office into the bedroom. And I really like that I was able to create like a little nook for the desk, and that little nook has actually become the office now. And I usually don't use this type of dresser that came with the get together pack. I think it has like three dressers, like these big walk-ins. And I was actually watching a Delegacy video, and I don't know, I like the way that she used those, and I was like, why don't I ever use these dressers? And I feel like it's because I'm kind of intimidated by them a little bit because they are so big. But now that I think about it, I feel like a lot of apartments that I go to, I see these types of like dressers are kind of like built in instead of like having like big walk-in closets. You don't typically see those with apartments. They kind of have like these little wardrobes that look like the one that I used in the parents' bedroom. And in my mind, I just see them like just stuffing a bunch of baby clothes in there and like just putting all of their belongings in there, because I also feel like when you live by yourself in an apartment and you have an extra room, sometimes that extra room tends to turn into extra storage space. But because they now have the children and the children are using that room, they are using maybe the closet as storage now for like all of their old, like the stuff from their old life before they had children. One of my biggest fears when it comes to my builds is that I tend to like, I'm scared that I'm gonna like decorate all of my spaces the same, like all of my houses are gonna end up looking the same, or like I'm gonna decorate the same way. But I feel like with this house, I don't know, it just seems a little bit different from what I'm used to. And that's another reason why it's useful for me to kind of like make up a story in my mind about the people that are going to live in this space, because it kind of like, I have to put myself in their shoes and like ask myself like how would they decorate their space. And I don't know, I just feel like how would this family live in this space, like what would they have about their home. And I feel like that really helps when it comes to doing things a lot differently, and I feel like I did do a lot of things differently with this space. I feel because I am working with such a small space, because it's an apartment, I feel like it gives me more room to be creative. Because I don't know, I feel like when you're doing a bigger build, you're kind of like, okay, how can I just fill up this space so it doesn't look empty? But with the apartment, it's like, okay, how can I make this space actually be livable and look like it's lived in and give it a personality? Because in real life, it's hard to give your apartment a personality because you are limited by what you're actually able to do, because you know you don't want your landlords to be mad at you or anything like that. So it's like, how can you make the space look like yours even though it's technically not yours? And by the way, this bathroom that I did in this build, it is one of my favorite bathrooms that I've ever done in any build. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I just looked at it a lot differently, or maybe I just gave myself time to work on it. But I don't know, I just had a lot of fun doing this bathroom. And usually the bathroom is the room that I do last, because I really don't want to do the bathroom, because it's like, how can I make a bathroom like look like anything? Like, how can I make a bathroom look interesting? But I really like the way that the bathroom turned out. But we are approaching the end of the speed build. Thank you so much if you made it to this point. Stick around a little bit longer, because I will be including screenshots of this build at the very end. I know it can be kind of difficult to see exactly what's going on because everything is sped up, but I appreciate you so much for watching, and I hope you like this video. Please give me a like if you did, and also feel free to comment what you like most about this build, or let me know down below, like, what do you want to see me build next. I appreciate you so much for watching, and I would also appreciate it if you gave me a subscribe, because I also plan on doing more speed builds in the future. I also plan on doing more let's plays, and